Good afternoon. Olivia Chow will be seeking re-election as Toronto's mayor this fall.
Chow made the announcement this morning, saying her focus will be making Toronto more affordable, caring and safe. CTV's Sean Leithong has been following Chow's announcement, and he joins us live now with more. Sean.
Michelle and Nathan, we're in Nathan Phillips Square, where Chow will be arriving in just a few minutes, as there is a FIFA event here today where they'll be unveiling the arrival of the World Cup trophy. But the big news coming this morning that Mayor Chow has announced she will seek re-election. It was highly anticipated that she would do so, as a recent poll has her as the favorite, having a 50 points of the voter in the recent poll saying they would vote for Chow. Of those who are decided, the next closest candidate is Councillor Brad Bradford, and this, at this point, seems to make this two declared candidates that have a strong foothold in this election so far. This morning, Premier Doug Ford was asked about Mayor Chow's announcement, and here's what he had to say.
I really like the mayor. I get along with everyone. I don't care what political stripe they come from. I know exactly where Olivia's coming from. I know exactly, she knows where I'm coming from. We get along very, very well. Very well. So we'll see what happens during the election. If she wins, I'm gonna work with her.
Now, you may recall Mayor Chow has been in office for just under 3 years, not the usual 4, because she was elected in the summer of 2023. That is, of course, after former Mayor John Tory resigned. Tory had been speculated to have entered the race for quite some time, but announcing a while ago that he would not seek another election. So Mayor Chow has officially entered the race. The vote itself happens on October 26th. Reporting live, I'm Sean Leithong. Nathan and Michelle, send it back to you.
Thank you, Sean. York Regional Police have issued a public safety alert after a child was bitten by a coyote in Markham last night.
It's the second incident involving a coyote bite in the past few days in the city. CTV's Mike Walker has been following this story and joins us live with more details about this. Mike.
Well, Nathan and Michelle, this latest incident happened here at Bruce Boyd Parkette, and police say the young child, about 4 or 5.
All right, looks like we lost the audio there. That was CTV's Mike Walker. We're going to move on to this next story. Emergency crews battled a 2-alarm industrial fire in North York overnight. They were first called to a warehouse on Ashwarren Road near Keele and Finch around 9:45 last night. Firefighters battled heavy flames, but were able to put them out quickly. They worked overnight to address any potential hotspots. No injuries have been reported. And this is the same address where another fire broke out late last week. The CTV News chopper was over the scene Thursday afternoon when flames broke out in a scrap metal yard. No injuries were reported as a result of that fire either. Several arrests have been made following an extortion task force investigation by Peel Regional Police.
The investigation targeted a criminal network extorting South Asian business owners in Brampton and Mississauga. CTV's John Musselman has been following this investigation. He joins us live now with all the details. John.
Well, Michelle, they're calling this a major break in the case here. I think our viewers are quite familiar with what's been going on in Peel, Brampton, Mississauga, Caledon. We'll show you some video. These extortion cases where suspects are firing weapons into homes and into businesses, threatening families and business owners, demanding money. It's been an issue here that's been going on for a number of years, and police say they've targeted this one gang known as the Four Brothers. They've made some major arrests here. We're talking about 17 people accused, 106 charges. And this has been a cooperative investigation involving Canadian Border Services, the OPP, Peel Regional Police, even the FBI, because we're being told that this has connections throughout North America and right across the country of Canada.
Extortions bring violence, fear to a community, intimidation, and it's not just the victim, it's entire communities and neighborhoods that are impacted by this.
One of the groups identified through this investigation is commonly known as the Four Brothers Gang, whose members and associates were linked to several violent extortion-related offenses, including shootings. To date, 5 members or associates of the group have been arrested, significantly disrupting their ability to intimidate victims and carry out further violence within our communities.
Just to say, it's really tragic to get those phone calls from a family that has sacrificed everything to come to Canada for that sense of safety and feeling that it was all for naught and wanting to choose a new home. And so I hope today's announcement really speaks to the fact that we cherish public safety in Peel Region and frankly Canada. This is not a Peel Region challenge. I can tell you I've had phone calls from mayors in Winnipeg, Edmonton, Surrey, and the list goes on, where these extortion acts of criminality are being replicated. And so hopefully this starts a new trend that is not something that is successful in Canada any longer.
And we've had a chance to speak to one of the victims involved in these extortion cases. They talk about what this impact had on their family, the security and the uneasiness of it all. We'll have much more on that on CTV News at 5 and 6. Reporting live in Brampton, I'm John Musselman. I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, John. Still to come, the House of Commons resumes sitting this week as MPs begin their final stretch before Parliament's summer break. We'll have more on what's on the agenda up in Ottawa a little later in the newscast. But first, here in Ontario, PC, MPP and Cabinet Minister Caroline Mulroney is set to resign from her position and vacate her seat next month.
Mulroney is set to leave her roles in early June, setting up a by-election to fill her seat in York Simcoe. CTV's Beth McDonnell has been following news of her departure and joins us live with more. Was this a surprise, Beth?
Yes, I think it was a surprise, actually. We're here down at Ontario Place. This is a big day for the revamped Ontario Place down here at the waterfront. Premier Doug Ford was here to announce the new Ontario Science Centre breaking ground. Then he started off by talking about the resignation of Caroline Mulroney. And so in a message posted to social media, Mulroney says her father passing away 2 years ago and becoming an empty nester last year are moments that clarify matters, and now is the right time to step away from elected life and begin a new chapter. Mulroney, who has been the MPP for York Simcoe since 2018, says she's proud of her work on the Bradford bypass, the North Gwillimbury Forest, safeguarding Lake Simcoe from additional wastewater, and advancing the new acute care hospital in East Gwillimbury. Her last day is June 5th.
I want to acknowledge her hard work over the last several years as president of the Treasury Board and the Minister of Francophone Affairs. Caroline is a champion for fiscal responsibility and for Francophone communities across the province, and I just want to thank her for her hard work and for carrying on her legacy of public service that her father Brian began. I want to wish Caroline and her family all the very best as she moves on to the next chapter.
She has, kind of kept a relatively low profile when it comes to, maybe being less media facing than some of her colleagues. She has been, under fire herself, in particular over this jet purchase that has now been reversed from the premier. And opposition critics have really been pounding her in question period, asking her, why did she sign off on this?
Peter Bethlenfalvy will take over the president of the Treasury for now. Natalia Kusendova-Bashta is expected to take over as Minister of Francophone Affairs. Reporting live, I'm Beth McDonnell. Michelle, back to you.
Thank you, Beth. And as she mentioned, a groundbreaking ceremony was held at the new site of the Ontario Science Centre. The Premier and other officials taking part this morning. The start of construction marks a major milestone in the Ford government's controversial decision to relocate the Science Centre from Flemington Park down to the waterfront.
Buildings like this, ideas like this, destinations like this take bold vision. As I look over to the CN Tower, somebody thought of that, building the world's tallest freestanding structure in the 60s, and it was a bold vision. In the 80s, somebody thought of building a domed retractable stadium right beside the CN Tower, and that was a bold vision. Today,
the province released this video of the design plans for the new Science Centre complex at Ontario Place. The province has said construction could be complete as soon as the year 2029.
The Ford government is going to court to try to prevent the release of documents about its blue license plates, which have since been scrapped. Government lawyers have applied for a judicial review of decisions by Ontario's Information and Privacy Commissioner, ordering the province to release documents in response to a Freedom of Information request by the Canadian press. The blue license plates were rolled out in early 2020, but the province stopped issuing them shortly after because of visibility issues. The province has not indicated a plan to get the plates that have already been issued off the roads.
We return now to one of our top stories. York Regional Police issuing a public safety alert after a child was bitten by a coyote last night in Markham.
It's the second incident involving a coyote bite in the past few days here in the city. CTV's Mike Walker has been following this story, and I'm sure there's a lot of concern. Coyotes don't typically bite when you see them.
No, and we've been speaking with area residents, Nathan and Michelle, who tell us coyote sightings are common in this area, but they are on alert following this latest incident that involved a young child about 4 or 5 years old here at Bruce Boyd Park, though police tell us the child was taken to hospital but not seriously injured. Now, this is video I want to show you that a neighbor shared with CTV News, taken immediately after the child was attacked around 7:30 Sunday night by the coyote. The park here is next to a green space with trails that connect to a number of parks here in the McCowan and 16th Avenue area. This past Thursday, a 16-year-old girl was bitten by a coyote a short distance from here and suffered minor injuries. At this point, it's not clear if it's the same coyote. Here's more from one neighbor who witnessed the aftermath of Sunday's attack, and another neighbor who tells us they recently had a close call while out walking their dog.
My wife just came out from house and she's standing on the porch. She can see what happened. So she starts screaming. I'm so scared because this coyote getting more aggressive recently.
Very close to my dog and try to bite her, and then I have to walk away.
It's scary, right?
Yeah, very scary.
We've had encounters with the coyote before, never in such an aggressive way. So I feel like there's something has created the escalation.
Now, this morning, we've seen Animal Services and York Regional Police out patrolling the area. A short time ago, police officers were flying a drone searching for the coyote. Police are urging area residents, if they spot the coyote, not to approach it, not to try to feed it, as well as there is, public safety concern here. Reporting live in Markham, I'm Mike Walker. Nathan and Michelle, back to you.
Thank you, Mike. Bruno Mars hit the stage at Rogers Stadium last night after rain on Saturday washed out what was supposed to be the first of 5 shows in Toronto. Mars opened the first show of the season at Rogers Stadium with his song Risk It All. Meanwhile, Saturday's show has been moved to May 31st because of the stormy conditions on Saturday. Organizers say tickets for the postponed show will be honored on the new date or refunded. Fans last night shared their experience.
Our friends over here, they got married, and their wedding song was to Bruno Mars. So when that song played, they were doing their dance. It was very heartwarming.
Show them.
Where are you guys? Shout out to them. Jason and Chloe. Die with a smile. And they're having a baby.
First concert.
First concert for baby Joey.
So how was it for you guys?
Nostalgic. Well, especially with that song, Die with a Smile.
It was great. It was great.
But yeah, it was great.
All the fireworks, it was amazing.
Locked out of heaven.
The vibes were awesome.
Now, how would you find the logistics of getting in and out?
Horrible. Far walk,
but you know we made it. We really walked all the way from there.
We walked from the stadium to here, which took, how long do you think?
Like an hour.
No, it took like 15 minutes. But we're tired, we want to go home. But it was okay.
Meanwhile, Live Nation released a statement regarding concerns about noise and congestion in the area, and it reads in part, in keeping with being good neighbors, we have made technical, transportation, and logistical improvements leading up to this year's concert season. Live Nation says it has established dedicated rideshare pickup and drop-off locations while encouraging people to take transit. To reduce noise levels, it says all shows will end by 11 p.m. and improvements have been made to vinyl cladding on the grandstands to decrease sound bleed.
Note for transit riders, there is an early nightly closure to be aware of. Service will end at 11:59 on Line 1 between St. George and Shepherd West stations tonight, tomorrow and Friday as well due to track work. The TTC says the early closure is being pushed back to 12:30 a.m. on Wednesday and Thursday to accommodate customers leaving the Bruno Mars concert at Rogers Stadium. Regular service is scheduled to resume the following morning at 6 a.m.
And we have more news in a moment, but first a look at the forecast. Here's a live shot. Lovely looking day by the water, especially blue skies. A huge difference from the weekend with all the wet weather, cloudy skies, wind, and just felt kind of cold. Lindsay Morrison has a look at the current conditions, and it feels like we've started a new season today.
Certainly, Nathan. What a memorable weekend for all the wrong reasons, perhaps. But look what's happening today. The sky has cleared. The sun is shining. Gone is the fog as well. And gone is the rain, too. We're enjoying a nice, comfortable day. It's already 19 degrees right now, feeling like 21, but we're expecting to climb into the 20s for this afternoon. Winds, they're fairly light. You'll barely notice them out there. Here's your day at a glance. 23 degrees is what we're forecasting. Over the weekend, we made it to highs of 14 degrees both Saturday and Sunday, so this is a nice improvement. Mainly sunny skies, eventually a southerly wind, and a UV index today 8 or very high on that UV index. So slather on the sunscreen if you're going to venture out and enjoy some time outside. I know many of us were indoors this weekend. Lots to talk about in your weather forecast for the week ahead. But for now, Nathan, I'll send it back over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. A crucial fall referendum in Alberta will determine if the province moves ahead with an official vote on whether to separate from Canada.
CTV Jeremy Charon has more on the ongoing debate and what could come next.
It's a fall referendum vote Alberta's premier hopes could put an end to a decades-long debate.
We do need to get this issue resolved so that we can come to a conclusion and we can move on from it.
But that isn't exactly how everyone sees it.
Seems like Danielle Smith's trying to make this happen one way or another.
Danielle Smith will not stand up and say, just stop it, because she's all part of this.
The premier insists she's simply respecting democracy, allowing Albertans to decide what happens next.
I respect the grievances that there are in Alberta, but I certainly hope that Canada can overcome them and show that we are the place they want to be.
It's upsetting because I would like Canada to stay together.
Smith says that's what she wants too, for Canada to stay together. And speaking with CTV's Question Period host Vashi Kapelos, the premier made this commitment.
If the Remain side does win, do you promise, as long as you're premier, you will not hold a separation referendum?
Yes, I do. I will listen to the will of the people, and that's why I'm going to be advocating on that side. But it goes the other way as well. That if Albertans vote the other way, then we'll have to begin the legal process to get to a binding referendum.
The question being asked this fall is whether Albertans want a separate official referendum on separation. That could trigger another binding vote to leave the country.
It has to be a very simple, clear question.
But even if a majority vote to leave, the path to do so is unclear and would start by triggering something called the Clarity Act.
There's no question of separating under the Canadian Constitution. You have to have the majority of provinces and the Parliament agreeing to your separation.
It would require the Supreme Court's involvement and a negotiated agreement between all provinces and the federal government.
And piling on to the complexity, legal experts also suggest a court decision earlier this month to throw out a pro-separation petition for its lack of consultation with First Nations indicates that would play a crucial role in any secession.
Jeremy Charon, CTV News, Ottawa.
We want to take it live to Nathan Phillips Square this hour, where the World Cup trophy has arrived in the city. There's Mayor Olivia Chow. Let's listen in.
That's almost the entire well, almost, at least half of them. Look, it takes a team to put this whole World Cup together. Yes, the counselors and, of course, FIFA World Cup, the Secretariat, Coca Cola to bring the trophy here. And do you know what else we need to thank? The 3,000 volunteers that have volunteered their time. Yes, they are the ones that make this very special. The other thing is this. Are you folks ready? 17 days, less than 3 weeks. Can I feel that excitement? Are you folks ready for FIFA World Cup? Well, I need a yes, okay? I need a strong yes. Are you folks ready? 17 days for the FIFA World Cup. Let's hear the excitement. Okay, that's better because I was a bit worried about, what's this about Toronto? Toronto, today, by the way, is World Football Day. And what better way to celebrate than by welcoming the iconic FIFA World Cup trophy, yes, it's going to be unveiled soon, to Toronto. And Toronto is truly proud to be part of this truly historic global moment. And yes, of course, we can feel the excitement not just at Nathan Phillips Square. This excitement is in every corner of the city. And today is also a celebration on how sports can bring people together. No matter where you're from, what language you speak, or what team you're cheering for, the beautiful game has a unique power to unite all of us. And that spirit of connection reflects Toronto itself, one of the most diverse cities in the world and a city that truly loves soccer. And of course, I want to thank Coca Cola and Coke Canada Bottling for bringing the FIFA World Cup trophy, that is a tour, to Toronto and give fans a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to see this incredible trophy up close. And we are proud to welcome visitors, fans, and communities from around the world as the excitement builds. But it is not just about the World Cup itself. It is also about the festival, the stadium, the Fan Fest at Fort York and Benway, community events and watch parties across Toronto. And just last week, we opened the first soccer mini pitch as part of our Soccer for All legacy. And we also opened the Visa Street Soccer Park right over there at Nathan Phillips Square. And let me tell you, it is wonderful to see the joy and the smiles of the children and young people playing on this FIFA pitches, these pitches, mini pitches, because there's not enough place for them to play. And we're opening a few more as we get closer to World Cup. Toronto is truly a soccer city, and we have hundreds of thousands of young people playing. This is the true legacy of FIFA World Cup. Not only the matches played in the field, but inspiring young people, building strong communities, and creating opportunities that last long time after the tournament ends. The legacy will live on in our city and the next generation of Torontonians. And when they step out on the soccer field, they can dream that someday they too may be a living legend like Alessandro Nesta, who is with us today. Yeah, give him a big round. Yeah, welcome. He's coming up soon. Yeah, thank you for joining us. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. It's a pleasure for me to represent FIFA in this beautiful city. And I love this country because I lived in Montreal for 1.5 years when I played here. I have a huge memories here. And thank you for coming. I'm very excited to show you this trophy, the most important trophy in the world for me. I was very lucky because in 2006, me and my team, Italy team, we won that trophy. And after that, my life changed. And I'm very excited to show you because who win this trophy is something very, very good, guys. It's very, very difficult. And if happen, I'm lucky for who win the next one. Unfortunately, my country will not play. Maybe next. Every time we say next, but next maybe yes. Thank you so much.
It's time for the great reveal.
All right.
It's time for the great reveal.
Alessandro, we're going to count you down, and we'd love everyone here to join us. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The FIFA World Cup has been unveiled. It is here in the city. The mayor there sharing her excitement, representatives from FIFA and more signaling that the games are close. We've got 2.5 weeks until the first game here in Toronto, June 12th, Canada versus Bosnia-Herzegovina. That trophy was in Ottawa yesterday. You saw the Prime Minister kissing it. 18-karat gold, 36.8 centimeters tall, and you heard from that representative there. It sure means a lot. An amazing symbol of victory and just an exciting time here in the city. We'll leave it here, but we'll continue to follow all the excitement related to FIFA as we count down to the World Cup here in Toronto. To other news now, looking towards Ottawa, the House of Commons will be resumed sitting this week as MPs begin their final stretch before Parliament breaks for the summer in less than a month. The Carney Liberals still trying to implement their spring economic update. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre is planning to push for debate on how the government handles First Nations land claims in light of the BC decision around Aboriginal land title. This week, Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand is preparing to host her Chinese counterpart, and it would be the first visit of its kind since 2016. CTV's Mike Lecoutel joins us live now from Ottawa. He's keeping tabs on everything up there. Mike, let's talk about the House of Commons sitting today after a 2-week break, but the focus of a lot of politicians, I'm wondering, likely be in Alberta. How could the Western Premier's meeting impact politics over in Ottawa?
Yeah, especially when you consider that at the heart of that meeting really is Alberta separation, and how Danielle Smith on Thursday put that question on the table. A bit of a convoluted question when you consider that it asks whether or not people want to stay in Canada or if they want people in that province to have the government of Alberta to start the process of engaging in some sort of referendum question on separation. That was a question that, or a question about that question was asked of Prime Minister Mark Carney today. Of course, he has a lot of experience in terms of secession and separation. He was the Bank of England governor during Brexit, and he had this caution to people of Alberta when he was asked specifically about it. Have a listen.
That is a very dangerous bluff. That is a very dangerous bluff. I saw firsthand what happened in the United Kingdom when the view was vote for this, it'll be soft, and then we'll negotiate, etc. And they ended up, and they're still 10 years later trying to undo what people didn't think they were voting for, but what they ended up having.
And he also noted that, look, this was not something that either the UCP, led by Danielle Smith, or the NDP even had on the ballot when they did go to the polls and when there was the last election. So he's essentially saying that the question should not be called at this time. This is not something that anybody has campaigned on, and he doesn't think that it makes sense to be asking Albertans right now, especially as he's trying to make the case for this cooperative federalism, Michelle, when you consider that he has signed that MOU with Alberta. He continues to show progress on it and any kind of a path towards getting a pipeline to BC's coast.
A lot on everyone's plate these days. The Prime Minister is going to be spending part of his week in New York City talking to the U.S. business community amid the tariff situation. How crucial is that pitch?
Yeah, so crucial when you consider he's going to the Economic Club of New York City to talk to investors and CEOs. And a lot of this is trying to make sure that they understand that Canada is open for business. He's trying to make sure that Canada is a destination for investment, saying that Canada does want to become an energy superpower. And all of this as we're 37 days away from that deadline of July 1st to decide whether or not we are going to have a full review of USMCA, or CUSMA, I should say, CUSMA, that is the trilateral trade agreement between the three countries. We know that talks between the United States and Mexico are advancing quite rapidly, and they are progressing. But we also don't know what is going on between Canada and the United States. It's essentially radio silence from our government as to whether or not there are any talks or how they're progressing. So there continues to be that pressure on the Prime Minister, and certainly he's going to make that pitch to the business community so that they potentially put pressure on U.S. President Donald Trump, because he does listen to people in the business community. He does watch the stock market, and if they can leverage that, if the Canadian government can leverage that, then maybe there is some hope of saving that trade agreement.
He's Mike Lecouteur, live for us in Ottawa today. Thank you.
Thank you.
We turn now to the latest in the Middle East. Donald Trump says any peace deal with Iran should include a requirement for several more countries to join what's called the Abraham Accords. The U.S. brokered agreements are intended to normalize relations with Israel and were forged during the U.S. president's first term. Trump wants Saudi Arabia and Qatar to sign on immediately, followed by Pakistan, Turkey, Egypt, and Jordan. The president feels it should be mandatory for all of those nations, in considering all the work done by the U.S. so far. Bahrain and the United Arab Emirates became the first countries to join the accords back in 2020.
In Saudi Arabia, the annual Hajj pilgrimage has begun.
Allah.
Quite the sight. The faithful have begun praying and gathering around the Grand Mosque before moving to the holy sites where the rituals will continue in the coming days. More than 1.6 million pilgrims have arrived in Mecca from outside the country so far. The Hajj is one of Islam's 5 pillars and is required once in a lifetime for Muslims who are physically and financially able. It is one of the world's largest annual religious gatherings. Well, it is National Accessibility Week, and we want to talk about accessibility, recognizing the importance of creating spaces, services, and conversations that are inclusive for everyone. From technology, workplaces, and community programs, Accessibility Week is all about breaking down barriers and building a more accessible future. Now, here's a look at how the Ability Center in Whitby is shifting mindsets to make inclusion the norm and not the exception.
Accessible buildings, it can't be an afterthought. Inclusive design, it helps create better events, brings the community all together. By thinking of everybody and creating a more inclusive building, that's where all the magic happens.
Accessibility impacts everyone at some point in their lives. Research shows that today, more than 27% of Ontarians identify as having a physical or cognitive disability. From the aging population to invisible and episodic disabilities to situational, temporary, and permanent disabilities. To address this issue requires an accessibility mindset shift. How can we help remove barriers for people wherever we work, live, or play? Simply, it begins with being curious, starting conversations with family, friends, and colleagues. Accessibility is no longer just a philanthropic discussion because it impacts every single one of us.
Accessibility isn't the finish line, it's the foundation. And once you realize that, you'll start to see it everywhere. I didn't say go! Winner!
Well, what a weekend it was. We knew it was going to be wet, windy, and chilly, but here's a look back at just what happened between Saturday and Sunday. More than 40 millimeters of rain. Some areas saw closer to 50 millimeters in parts of southern Ontario. We had damaging winds, and of course, we had chilly temperatures as well, as mentioned. But look at this. There is a heat wave building for our friends in the Canadian prairies this week, and we are going to tap into a bit more warmth as well. It's also going to be a much drier week. Stay with us. We've got a full look at your 7-day forecast after this break here on CTV News at noon.
New research shows gardening might make you live a year longer.
And here to talk about it is CTV's science and tech specialist, Dan Riskin. This sounds good. So what makes gardening so special, Dan?
Yeah, sorry I couldn't make it into the studio today. I just wanted to do a little gardening at home. So that's the reason I'm talking to you remotely. This is a neat little study on a cohort of elderly Scottish people, all born in 1921. And researchers checked in with them when they were 79 and then just followed them right through the end of life, the last 20 or so years for these people, and then looked to see what kinds of activities that they were doing correlated with extensions in lifespan. And gardening jumped right out. People that gardened on a regular basis averaged 89.7 years old when they passed away, and people who did not garden died on average 1.2 years earlier at 88.4 years. So a long life for everyone, but a little extra boost from those who were gardening. And it's not exactly clear what the difference might be, whether it's the exercise, whether it's the fresh air, or whether it's just looking forward to seeing that next plant pop up that you planted. But gardening does seem to be associated with a longer life.
Well, that is great news. Next time I'm grumbling about gardening, I'm just going to say, stop it. Just get out and do it.
Yeah, get out and do it.
Your next story is about right-handedness. About 90% of people are right-handed. Are we right-handed here?
No.
No, you're lefty. Okay. So 90% are. I know in my household we have 3 lefties and then 2 righties, but most of the people are right-handed. And there's a study about this and why the ratio is so far from 50-50. What did researchers find?
Yeah, I always knew Nathan was a little shifty. Now that I know he's left-handed, it all makes sense. He's a sinister guy, right? Because the Latin sinister comes from sinistral, which means left-handed. Dexterous comes from dextral, which means right-handed. And somebody who's ambidextrous has 2 right hands. They're ambidextrous. But anyway, this is a study about the evolution of when we became 90% one or the other. It turns out that handedness at all, left-handed or right-handed, turns up in all kinds of animals. Bats can be left-handed or right-handed in terms of their preferences for how they land, for example. But when you look at a population in a species where 90% are all the same way, that's weird, and that's a human trait. And looking at the relationships of different primates and how they perform on handedness tests, researchers have concluded that it is associated with our walking upright. The fact that we walk on 2 legs, and when we evolved that ability, seems to have freed our hands up and had allowed sort of an elaboration of more tasks with right-handed or left-handedness. And that was when we all started shifting in one direction, except for Nathan Downer, who is the lone star sticking out for the left hand.
Okay, I'm taking it on the chin. I do feel stronger right now, 10%. I will say this, I'm ambidextrous, in case you're wondering.
Amazing.
So I do use
a man of many
both,
talents.
you have to know. And the reason why I'm 10% stronger is because what I was thinking earlier when you were speaking. Apparently, swearing can boost your strength 10%.
Yeah, this is a great one. I'm always looking for a scientific excuse to do the things I want to do anyway, and this is swearing, and this one works quite nicely. So they had a simple test where people had to do this task where they basically hold themselves up on 2 hands, and you can only last about 30 seconds doing it, depending on your fitness and all that stuff. But they had some people saying a neutral word while they did it, and then they had those same people do it again, but saying a swear word while they did it. And doing the swear word, of course, they were smiling. They thought it was funny. They kind of got distracted. And they also got into a bit of a flow state, you know, a little bit sort of in the moment and just not really feeling the pain of it. And as a result, they performed 10% better. So swearing has at least one purpose, which is that it makes you a little bit stronger on these kinds of tasks. So now you have an excuse that you can use when you're apologizing for using dirty words.
Oh, my God. Once all this information gets out, I wonder what the scene will be like at the gym. Dirty words everywhere.
Who needs
Just
supplements?
shout out dirty words.
Yeah.
It's a great way to make friends and influence people, I'm sure.
Well, I'm glad swearing's not too bad. Thank you, Dan. Appreciate it. Have a great day.
You too. Thanks a lot.
Oh, and speaking of great days, the sun is back. That weekend, come on. So much rain, cold on the Saturday. It's like, yeah, we got to put that behind us.
Yeah, it's hard to believe the difference in just like 12 hours. Yesterday it was cold, it was windy, it was rainy, then all of a sudden all that's just behind us.
Well, I have good news for you. The rest of this week is looking pretty good. We deserve it after the last couple of days. We are going to see warmer temperatures. We're going to see mostly sunny days, which is going to be welcome too. And yeah, it's a nice little stretch heading into the weekend. We're also going to be talking about Humidex values near 30. Weather is brought to you by the Presler Law Firm. Injury lawyers, you don't pay unless they win. Now, earlier we talked about a little bit of wind damage courtesy of that active weather over the weekend, but check out Woodbine Beach today. So this is a little bit of shoreline flooding that has happened. Oftentimes, Lake Ontario's running a bit higher than average in the spring because of things like spring runoff, but we've had a lot of rain lately. We had some very strong winds, as mentioned, with that system that brought some of the water on shore. So yes, if you're planning to head to the beach today, just be aware that this is a bit of the situation at Woodbine Beach and Ashbridges Bay. Let's talk temperatures, though. What a change compared to yesterday and certainly the day before that. We're already at 19 degrees. That is at least 5 degrees warmer than it got at our warmest point over the weekend. And today's forecast daytime high is 23 degrees, feeling more like 26. Here's a look at the almanac. Our seasonal average is 21, so we were well below that the last couple of days. But today we're going to be close to it. And overnight tonight, warmer than normal. 14 degrees is what we're forecasting for a low under clear skies. This looks to be, for the most part, the pattern over the next few days here. There's tomorrow. The heat is on. 28 degrees is where we could hit with a humidex value of 31. And a little journey across southern Ontario shows very similar conditions expected. A little cooler by the lake. You'll notice Oakville, for example, 22 degrees tomorrow. And there is just the slightest chance of a shower in some areas, not just for tomorrow, but also into the day on Wednesday. But overall, this is a much quieter weather forecast. There goes that beast of a storm into Atlantic Canada, the one that brought us all the rain. Not much to worry about, as mentioned, over the next couple of days here. Quick passing shower is going to be possible in some areas for tomorrow. The GTA should stay dry. And then Wednesday, let's see if we can see it here on the forecast radar. Yeah, it doesn't look like much, but a slight chance of a shower is there. And heading into Thursday, it's much of the same. So this is your 7-day forecast. A lot of warmth through the middle of the week, not as hot as what's been going to be happening in the Canadian prairies. And then we're going to cool down slightly heading into next weekend. But yes, next weekend looks beautiful, sunny skies, seasonal highs. What more can we ask for after what we experienced last weekend? I'd say this looks pretty good. It's your forecast for now. And Nathan, I'm going to send it over to you.
All right. Thank you, Lindsay. You are watching CTV News at noon on this lovely day. Stay with us. The Blue Jays will be looking to get back into the win column when they welcome the Miami Marlins to town tonight.
Cease to Horwitz. And Spencer Horwitz has tattooed it.
Former Jay Spencer Horwitz hit a home run on the first pitch of yesterday afternoon's series finale with the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Jays would go on to lose the game 4-1. Trey Yesavage gets to start in tonight's series opener against Miami. First pitch is set for just after 7 at Rogers Center.
The Maple Leafs have announced Max Domi has suffered complications from off-season surgery. The team released a statement today saying Domi underwent surgery to address an issue he played through during the past season. The statement goes on to say that due to complications arising from the procedure, Domi will be out indefinitely. The team says he will continue working with the club's medical staff and will be reevaluated at the start of training camp. Domi had 36 points in 80 games for the Leafs last season.
Canada's final World Cup training camp roster was released today, and there's some very good news about the team's captain and star player. Alphonso Davies is among the 32 players who are listed on the roster. There were questions about whether the Bayern Munich standout would be healthy enough to play for Canada. The 25-year-old suffered a hamstring injury during a Championship League semifinal earlier this month. Our national squad will trade in Charlotte, North Carolina. And after a couple of friendlies, they'll play their first World Cup match at Toronto Stadium June 12th against Bosnia-Herzegovina.
Countdown is on. Still to come, Tim Hortons has announced plans to hire 10,000 local workers. We'll have those details when we come back.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
Tim Hortons has announced plans to hire 10,000 local workers. The company says it will dial back the use of the temporary foreign worker program. It comes as the coffee chain plans to expand its number of locations, adding 80 new storefronts across the country. A statement from Tim Hortons says the company will also stop lobbying the federal government to expand the temporary foreign worker program amid high rates of youth unemployment.
Thousands of entrepreneurs, investors, and innovators have descended on the city to take part in Toronto Tech Week. The event began in 2024 as an alternative to a typical conference. Tech Week offers a decentralized platform allowing anyone to host an event. Joss Murphy, the co-founder and CEO of WIGO, a startup focused on bringing people together, spoke about the event.
Basically, what we're seeing is young people today are looking for more and more in-person experiences, especially after going to university in the pandemic, lacking a lot of those formative ways to meet people. There's this giant rise happening right now of people founding in-person communities, and my company essentially exists to support them. We are building a sport ecosystem as well as a software platform to help facilitate their growth and keep them from burning out.
And Toronto Tech Week runs until this Friday.
You're watching CTV News at noon. Stay with us because we have a heck of a 7-day forecast. You'll want to stick around. See you shortly.
I know summer is about a month away, but it feels like it started today.
June is next week, and you've got the FIFA World Cup trophy being unveiled this hour at Nathan Phillips Square. It's such a fun time in the city.
This is a great start to the week after a bit of a messy weekend, a cold one, a wet one. This is so great to see at Nathan Phillips Square. And perhaps you yourself have some evening sports that you're participating in this evening, or maybe the little ones. Here's a look at what you can expect if you're heading to the local pitch in your neighborhood. Sunshine through the late afternoon and early evening. Clear skies overnight tonight and pretty warm temperatures, seasonably warm. Tomorrow, though, cranking up the heat a little bit. Temperatures in the mid or upper 20s, depending on where you're joining us from, and feeling like 30 in places, too. This is the lawn and garden forecast for tomorrow, too. I know those lawns are looking awfully green in many areas, thanks to all the rain we've had so far this spring, but there's not a lot of rain in this 7-day forecast. We're going to enjoy, for the most part, a pretty sunny stretch through next weekend. Nathan and Michelle.
All right, good to hear. Thank you, Lindsay. And that's it for CTV News at noon. Remember, you can get Toronto's breaking news all day long on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and the whole team here, have a pleasant afternoon. I'm Michelle Dubé.
And I'm Nathan Downer. Be sure to watch us later for CTV News at 5 and 6. Take care.